Welcome, everybody, to the Redzone Report, brought to you by PLB Sports and Entertainment on the Built in Buffalo YouTube channel. PLB Sports, the makers of Josh's Jacks, the JA17 Coffee Line, and the Dick's 14 Hot Sauce. Please, everybody, enjoy the show. All right, everybody. Sorry for the blunder yesterday evening. I was trying to stream from a remote location, and it did not go well. As you can hear, my voice is shot. I was at the amusement park with my son for his birthday this weekend. We took him to Busch Gardens and Williamsburg, Virginia, and Water Country, USA. And it was a good time. It's a good time, and I wasn't going to cancel my show. I came on. You guys couldn't hear me, so delete that one and let Dave, our owner, know, hey, I'm going to go again tomorrow early. So that way I'm not interfering with the later show. Because, we have shows every day. And so to not interfere with that, I decided to do my show early since I'm off today. It's Labor Day. So here we are. We're here to talk about the Buffalo Bills 2023 season since it is upon us this coming week. Now, starting Thursday, which I'm off today and tomorrow. So then I got Wednesday and then football. So I'm pumped. I can't wait. I got, one business day for me till football. And that's a beautiful thing because, you get to see the Chiefs go out there, play Lions, get a measure of what the Chiefs are going to be. Maybe, tell into what the Lions will be. The Chiefs, to me, take a little bit of a step back. Ooh, mangoes up. To me, the Chiefs take a little bit of a step back. And it's because they're wide receivers. I don't know who they are. I have no idea who they are. I know who Kelsey is. Sky Moore, I remember him from last year. They lost Nicole Hardman. They got Valdez Scantling. Okay, he's not a number one to me. So we're going to see how that goes for them. But I don't see it going that well. I see them making the playoffs, probably winning their division, maybe second in their division. I could be making more than – I may be making it out to be more than it is. But their defense never ranks really that high. So we'll see on Thursday how that goes. But we're not really here to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. We're here to talk about the Buffalo Bills, right? The Buffalo Bills season opener, Monday night, September 11th, in New Jersey against the Jets. Let's go, right? We got Aaron Rodgers joining the fray in the AFC East, being traded from the Green Bay Packers to the New York Jets. And now he's got to play us twice a year. We get to see him twice a year. See how I did that there? Now, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who he can play. I mean, he may be starting to fall off that cliff, but he's not off it yet, in my opinion. I think he's got another good 4,000-yard season in him this year, maybe 4,500. If everything goes well, if that offensive line holds up. That's the scary part for the Jets is that offensive line. And I think our defensive line can go in there and take advantage of it. I think that the Bills will go in there and beat the Jets. I think it's going to be like 24-20 Bills or maybe 24-17. I'd give him the extra field goal. I think that Aaron Rodgers will drive him down the field, kick, for 3, get it to 20 where they have the lead on us, and then Josh Allen just drives us down and wins the game. That's what I think will happen in the first game of the season. Josh Allen, right? Let's talk about this, right? Because Whitlock came out and was talking about Josh Allen. He made a stupid comment about Stephon Diggs, and he came back and said my comment was dead wrong, and the problem is actually the quarterback. Diggs doesn't see Josh working as hard as he does, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Bills fans are really taking the bait on this. They're taking the bait on this because I think it's Jason Whitlock. He's not involved in the Bills at all. He doesn't know the squad. He's not familiar here. He's an outside news source. If it was Sal Capaccio, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But it's not. It's not. It's freaking Jason Whitlock, who I do like, by the way. I like Jason Whitlock. I just think he's, off base here. And that's fine. He can be off base. But Josh Allen is going to have a stellar season, in my opinion. They shored up the interior of the offensive line, which was really the problem last year for Josh. Still have the left tackle. The one weak spot on the offensive line seems to be Spencer Brown, if he's really if he's really the weak point. That really depends on him and his production this year. Spencer Brown, if he goes out there and has a season comparable to Ryan Bates last year, to me that's a success because he was god awful last year off that back surgery. And going forward, it's a thing. Right? You got to deal with the guy coming off surgery, going into his third year. He has the relative athletic score of a 10. His perfect relative athletic score for Spencer Brown. The highest you can get is a 10. He's got a 10. His issue last year, most likely the injury, his issue this year, if his injury is fully healed, will be technique. And that's going to be something he's going to have to work on, his technique. He's going to have to go there with the mindset of learning how to stop swim moves, how to stop club moves, how to keep his balance, how to keep the guy in front of him, how to get his hands on the defensive player first and keep him on him so he can ride him to the outside. That's going to be the trouble on the offensive line. But here's the thing is Spencer Brown is the right tackle. Josh Allen can see problems coming from over there. Last year, the problem was he had pressure coming from the left side at guard behind Roger Saffold, and he had direct pressure coming from the right side because Spencer Brown. So when you have that happening, you got to make a move and then shrimp your way through this line of people without getting caught by one of the two guys who are, in breaking on you. And that's a problem that we had last year that this year I don't see us having. I see Josh Allen throwing for more than 4,500 yards this year. He did that, back in 2019? 2020? When he had his big breakout season, 2020? Josh Allen, I think, is going to have a tremendous year. I think that he's going to take a step up. His accuracy is going to step up. He's not going to have to worry about getting hit in the pocket as much. He'll be able to see where the rush is coming from more often than not this coming season. And I'm really just pumped up to see what's going on with the offensive line. That to me means a lot more than most other things. Man, John Roberts says, I wouldn't share or post. I'm guessing you're saying you wouldn't share or post Whitlock's comments. Yeah. He said a bunch of nonsense, and that's what it is. So he has more weapons to do it, too. I agree with that, too. Yeah, look. Last year we had Diggs and Davis. Davis gets hurt almost immediately. We had Knox, but Knox's brother died, so Knox is going through this mental, catastrophe in his head. Devin Singletary is a good running back, but he's not fast. He doesn't have that extra gear to get you, to the promised land. He's now gone. I'm not going to say addition by subtraction, but it kind of is because now there's nobody in front of James Cook to keep him from getting the carries. And he does have that extra gear, and he's shown that he has that shrimp move in him too, where he can get through the line and he can, move in a phone booth and then hit that next gear and go. So I think James Cook is going to be an integral part too. People are undermining his potential for yardage. I seen it on Facebook a few days ago. A buddy of mine, we've been buddies for a while, mostly just on Facebook. I've never met him in person. And man, Jay, was talking about James Cook, isn't as good a tackle breaker as a chain for the Dolphins, the one they got drafted this year. And he doesn't have this or that. And he's never been the primary back in an offense. And I'm like, that's not a bad thing, that he's never done these things. And it doesn't, just because he's never done something doesn't mean he can't do it. And I'm not saying bell cow back. That's a different thing. Like Dick Chubb is a bell cow back. Alvin Kamara is a bell cow back. Christian McCaffrey is a bell cow back. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor. These are bell cow backs who can, do everything, and they are going to get their 25 to 30 touches in a game. James Cook's probably never going to be the bell cow back, but he can be the primary back in this team. He can definitely be the primary back. And to me, that says a lot. And what that says to me is that between the 20s, outside the red zone, maybe even between the 10s, he's going to be the main guy unless you need 3 yards. Then you're going to see one of these other guys who's going to bust through and get you your 3 freaking yards. Thanks for the show today, Izzy. Look, I had to. Yesterday, I couldn't do it. Had to do it today. Had to do it today. And early, so that way our later show doesn't get lost in the wash. But yeah, like it's a real thing that James Cook is underlooked, in my opinion. I think he's going to have 1,000 yards this year because of the breakaway speed. He reminds me of a faster Devin Singletary with the way he runs. He's not as big as Devin, but Devin most of the time went untouched whenever he got past the line. And if they did touch him, it was like on a shoulder or on an arm. You're not gonna get James Cook down that way either. James Cook has vision. Like he was trying to tell me he's not an up the middle runner. Last year, most of his big breakoff runs were up the middle behind Roger freaking Saffold, who sucked. Now you're going to give him Osiris Torrance and Connor McGovern, who's not great at pass blocking. But Connor McGovern's, a better blocker overall than Roger Saffold. And that is going to give him an advantage, in my opinion, when it comes to him having to block for the run. Because if you don't know what we're doing, running or passing, he's going to be able to get an advantage of you pre-snap. He's going to be able to get pre-snap advantage on you, especially since we are pass heavy. So now on this run play that you didn't see coming, he's going to be able to get a hold of you, and he's going to get around. James Cook's going to get around, and he's going to be able to break 10 yards instead of 4 that Singletary would have got because he's that much faster. Devin Singletary ran a 4.6. James Cook ran a 4.4. Like they're vastly different when it comes to that. And so people are looking at it and they go, the Bills didn't really get better anywhere. Was it Sam Acho or Emmanuel or I forget? He's on the show with Joy Taylor, one of the Achos, I think it is. He said we didn't really get better. We got just a smidgen worse because we lost Tremaine Edmonds, and I would say our defense got a smidgen worse because we lost Tremaine Edmonds. I agree there. I can't disagree with that, right? We haven't replaced Tremaine Edmonds with somebody who's as good as Tremaine Edmonds yet, right? If Christian Kirksey comes in here and lights it up, or if Terrell Bernard takes over this job and does a good job, then you can see him really go and bring this defense back to what it was with Tremaine Edmonds, but with a more aggressive stance. And Terrell Bernard is a very, very good blitzer. So there's another thing. Sophia says our fortified O-line is going to help out all our RBs. Probably, yeah. All of them. I mean, the good thing is all 3 of them can catch the ball too. All 3 of them can catch the ball. All 3 of them can run the ball, but they all have a different style of doing it, right? James Cook is a speed back who can catch the ball. Damian Harris is a balanced back. He has good speed. I believe he was a low 4.5, high 4.4 guy. And then he's a tackle breaker, like a real tackle breaker. James Cook can break some tackles, mostly DBs, maybe a linebacker here or there, but he's most likely not breaking through a defensive lineman's tackles. Damian Harris is that guy who's breaking through linebacker tackles, sometimes a defensive lineman tackle. And Latavius Murray is that fall forward for 2 yards guy. He's that Fred Jackson was talking about when Fred Jackson was talking, right? When Fred Jackson would say, look, you may hit me at the line, but I'm falling for 2 yards. That's Latavius Murray. If you're on the 1 yard line, what do? You give it to the guy who's going to fall forward for 2 yards. It's just what it is. I agree, and Harris and Murray can do short yardage, and that can help. You're correct. I actually just said this, and I just put up your comment. I see it now. Miss Nancy says, hi, Izzy. How you doing, man? Good to see you again. Thank you for being here. Thank you for support. Sophia, Torrance is a real line mover, even in the red zone, and even in the pass game, right? He had a few missteps the first preseason game, and the second one he recovered mostly. He's been outstanding this preseason. He's been outstanding in training camp. He's picked up the scheme. He's not a great puller, but he doesn't have to be because they may just work the offense around his strengths, and that's what you're supposed to do. But he can pull. He's just not pulling all the way across the line. He'll probably pull past the center, past the other guard, between the other tackle, and then kind of full back his way through there. It's impressive to me how the media can, fall on the Bills like they have. And that's fine because I understand that, we picked them a couple years in a row and they didn't perform the way we thought they would and blah, 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 blah. I was like, they allowed 8 points in losses last year in the regular season. In their losses, they only allowed 8 points. Like, how much better do you want them to be? By the time they get to the playoffs, they're exhausted from all the nonsense that happened, from the shooting to the snow to DeMar Hamlin to Micah Hyde's injury and Dane Jackson getting carted off early and having to come back and all the nonsense that happened. And we don't need to rehash it. I've been over it many times in this channel. It's just so much that happened. We expect this team to have the giddy up to go against a team like the Bengals, who had none of that. They had none of that. Not to make excuses, because that is an excuse, but excuses are there to be understood. But Josh has more weapons. He does have more weapons. I don't know if they're necessarily better overall, but I think they are. I would say, yeah, they are. I know you, but Torrance had no sacks in college. Correct. Osiris Torrance did not allow a single sack in college while he was at Louisiana or at Florida. So, yeah. So a lot of media people lost money betting on the Bills. They're bitter. Hey, I would be bitter too if I lost money on a team that was a sure thing. But I might have bet against the Bills if I wasn't a Bills fan. And I saw all the stuff they'd been through. I was like, dude, how much are they going to go through? Like in that Patriots game, they won, but if that dude doesn't take 2 touchdowns on kick returns back, they probably don't win that game. Now, he did do those 2 touchdowns on kick returns, and so it's hard to say that, but at the same time, it's like, what if he didn't? Does the offense get going or not? We don't know. So I'm not saying we do or don't. I'm not saying we lose that game or we don't. I'm saying that game played out in a way that took the load off the offense and the defense so they could go out there and perform. And so there's a lot. There's a lot. And people don't want to recognize these things. It is what it is. Now, Josh Allen, I see 4,500 yards plus. I see his first 40 TD pass season. His first one. And I see it because I see more steady receiver play than I did last year, right? We have Diggs and we have Davis. Diggs is a beast and Davis is a hard worker, right? And he looks better in the short range than he has before. Most of his receptions have been further downfield, and those are lower percentage throws. I get it, but you still got to catch the stuff, man. If it hits you in the hands, you can't and then drop it. You have to catch it. If it hits you in the hands, it's a low percentage throw because you dropped it. Okay? That's just the way it is. Also, though, made some awesome freaking plays. I love Davis, and I just hope he can rein in the consistency with those hands. Lucky to win division, have not improved on offense from last year. That's actually not true. I actually just explained how we did improve from last year. So got rid of Roger Saffold. That's addition by subtraction. Added Osiris Torrance. That's just an addition. Added Dalton Kincaid. So now we have 2 tight ends who are nasty. We don't have Devin Singletary anymore, so we're no longer being held back by lack of speed at running back. Although I do like Devin Singletary, and I want to insult him. He's just not fast enough for what we do. On defense, we'll get to in a minute. But, yeah, on offense, we have gotten better. Our last year, our number 3 receiver was Isaiah McKenzie. Now it's Trent Sherfield. Behind that is an Isaiah McKenzie type guy in Hardy, who's had better years than McKenzie's ever had. Then we have Khalil Shakir, and then you have Justin Shorter. So the thought process that we haven't got better on offense is nonsense. See, I see Josh throwing less interceptions this season. I don't know if I see that, but I see more touchdowns. I see the touchdown to interception ratio being wider. I can still see him throwing 13, 14 interceptions. Josh is just a wild man like that. He dials it in the playoffs, but during the regular season, he takes risks. We just have to accept the fact that that's who Josh Allen is. Yeah, our injuries decimated us all season. We played awful in a lot of games because of that. No excuses, but the media doesn't follow the Bills like we do. They don't. They're starting to. I'll give them that. Like they're really starting to pay more attention to Buffalo, and that's encouraging. But at the same time, they say a lot of mean stuff, and Bills fans take it personal. We do. We Bills fans take this stuff personal. When Nick Wright starts talking all this crap, we love our team so much we take it personal. We get online and we do all these things. We're one of the more emotionally invested fan bases in the NFL. So much to the point that when we injure our opponents, we donate to their causes. When we injured Lamar Jackson in the playoff game, he got a concussion. What did they do? The Bills Mafia donated tons of money to his backpacks, organization. To give school supplies to the children of Baltimore. When Tua got hurt, we donated to his cause. Even when they don't get hurt and they just help us out, Andy Dalton's cause. Like we do, that's what we do. So, yeah. Trent Sherfield did great in preseason. So Trent Sherfield did well last year too. Let's not forget, last year he was with the Dolphins. The Dolphins had just signed Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys to be their slot receiver. Trent Sherfield then beat Cedric Wilson out, and Cedric Wilson was no slouch. He had good years with Dallas. He got paid well from Miami to be a slot receiver. He got beat out by Trent Sherfield. Now Trent Sherfield comes here. He beats out Deontay Hardy, and he beats out Khalil Shakir for wide receiver 3. I think it's time that the NFL started paying more attention to Trent Sherfield. And I wasn't paying attention to him that much before this year. I do like the Niners. They're like my second favorite team. If they play the Bills, F them. But, it is what it is. The butt punt guy. I see you, Jacob. All right, but Jesus Christ. What's up, Doug? Or Dwayne? I don't know why I want to call you Doug. You say DF, Doug Funny. It reminds me of that kid show when I was a kid. But yeah, Trent Sherfield last year won that slot job from a guy who was supposed to be a lock. When he comes here, he does it again. The NFL needs to start paying more attention to these guys like Trent Sherfield who are better than average, but not that much better than average. He's steady. He's a hard worker. He's a good blocker. He catches everything thrown to him. He runs good routes. He's good at everything. He's a jack of all trades. He's good at everything, but he's not great at any one thing. But he is fast. He ran a 4.45. So I do like Trent Sherfield. I think that is an improvement over last year's wide receiver, group, where you had again Diggs, Davis, and then Khalil Shakir was number 3 for a while there, along with Isaiah McKenzie. They kind of traded back and forth. McKenzie didn't be the number 3 that we thought he was going to be, and also Jamison Crowder got hurt, broke his ankle, so he missed the rest of the year. It's another problem that we had, health at wide receiver. So now you have a healthy Sherfield, you have a healthy Hardy, you have a healthy Shakir, you have Davis and Diggs. Kincaid comes in here, and Jacob said, I see him as a receiver. He's going to play a lot of receiver on the outside. We've seen it already in the preseason. He was on the outside lined up. He was lined up in the slot. He was lined up in line. They're going to use Dalton Kincaid all over the place. He'll probably be playing out the backfield too sometimes. Whenever they don't want to use Gilliam, if they want some more speed out the backfield, Kincaid's a guy they can use. And so I'm really on the idea that freaking Kincaid and Sherfield are going to have bigger roles than we anticipate this year. I think they're going to have bigger roles this year. See, I think Sherfield is more our wide receiver 3 than Shakir. Shakir continues to prove he will drop the easy ball. Yeah, but he also catches the hard one. The last couple of years, Shakir or last year, and looks like this year still, he's suffering from Dawson Knox rookie season syndrome, which is he catches all the hard ones, but he drops the easy ones. He shows you the potential, but then he leaves you flat. So next year, I think, will be the year where Shakir can actually prove that he's got that dog in him. He's going to have to improve over this season, but he's also going to have next year to really show. Year 3 is a year. Key part of season game versus KC on the road and against Philadelphia on the road coming out of the bye. Yeah, that's going to be a real big part of the season. That's a whole stretch right there. Because before the bye, I believe we played the Bengals, then it's the bye, then it's the Eagles, then it's a lot. That whole stretch there. Let me go ahead and minimize this real quick. We play. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's the stretch. We play the Bucks, which is not really a crazy game, but then we play the Bengals, the Broncos, the Jets. Then it's the Eagles, the bye week. Then KC, Dallas, the Chargers, the Patriots, and then the Dolphins. That second half stretch is crazy. It's crazy. Either or, I like the depth on the backup end. Hey, I agree with you. Is there an actual name for this condition? No. No, there isn't. It's Dawson Knox syndrome. It's catch the hard one, drop the easy one. So make them all hard, Josh. I heard Dawson Knox lined up in the backfield. Is that true? He has lined up in the backfield a few times this preseason, yes. And the good thing about that is he's an adequate blocker, so he can fullback for you a little bit there. But then again, he's also a faster than normal tight end who can chip block somebody coming around the corner and then take off and go get those yards. And then Jeremy Shockey people like he did against the Bengals a few years back. I don't know if you guys remember that play. That's one of my favorite plays the last few years is that Dawson Knox truck sticking against the Bengals. Like he just went in. Loved it. And I think Dawson Knox is going to have, a similar year to the last couple of years. He's going to have another 500 to 600 yards, another, 6 to 8 touchdowns. And that's basically what Dawson Knox is. He's not a Kelsey, he's a tier below that. Your Kelseys, your Kittles, your the guy in Baltimore. Always forget his freaking name. Andrews. Not an Andrews. He's to me like the 12th best tight end in the NFL. And he's getting paid like the 12th best, so that's where he's at. So the Bills' offense putting up 1,700 to 1,800 yards rushing. I see Cook getting his 1,000 yards. I can see Damian Harris putting up another 400 to 500. I could see Latavius Murray putting up another 200 on top of that, and then Josh is going to get his. It might be more than that. We could actually potentially set a record rushing this year. I don't see that happening. So my numbers are going to have to come down a little bit or go up a little bit. Josh will still have like 500 yards rushing, I think. It's going to come down some because he's not going to have the design runs on the goal line so much. And his rushing touchdowns are probably going to come down too. He probably won't have the 7 to 9 that he's used to having. He'll probably have 5 or 6 because you don't bring in Latavius Murray to have Josh Allen scramble on the goal line. No, you let that big man fall for his 2 yards. So yeah, I'm of the idea that 4,500 passing yards minimum. I'd say 1,800 rushing yards minimum, and I think 800 yards is more realistic. But I think that there's going to be some plays. I think that's a conservative look at it because he's going to have plays where he breaks it off. He's going to have those plays. He's going to have more touches too, probably. Last year he had right around 100 touches, over 500 yards, right? And 5.7 yards per carry. This year, he's probably going to look around 150 to 180, somewhere in that range. And so with that increase there, if it's only 50 more carries, maybe 800 yards. But if he gets to that 80 more carries, I could see him going over 1,000 yards. Especially with this improved offensive line. That's the key there, is the offensive line. Yes. Murray is 6'3", like 235. He is a big freaking boy. I'll look it up. I have my other browser open here. Apparently, he's the only Latavius ever in the NFL. 6'3", 230. Golly, that is a big boy. 160 makes sense. I'd say closer to 175, but we're not negotiating here. We're not haggling, so we'll see what happens. Last year was like 89 carries. Wow. Yeah, wow, indeed. Yeah, he's a big dude. Like I said, he's going to hit the gap and fall forward for your 2 yards. If you're on the 1 yard line, you give it to Latavius Murray, just like the Seahawks should have gave it to Marshawn to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Is what it is. Now, when I look at the other side of the ball, the defense, clearly they've gotten better. I see the defense being a top 3 unit again. I see improvements at middle linebacker happening progressively throughout the season. They'll scheme around whoever's in there if they are not that good, if they're bad, they'll scheme around them. Have that person blitz more like they did AJ Klein that 1 year when Tremaine Edmonds missed substantial time, and AJ Klein had to play 3-4 games, and they blitzed him a lot. And he got home a lot, and he led the team in sacks that year. I mean, what more do you want? 160 carries, yard per catch. Our drop to, I don't know, 4.9 due to more dud runs, 784 yards. I mean, I could see that, and I wouldn't be disappointed in that season either. I wouldn't be disappointed. However, I think that he's going to do better than that. I think the yards per carry is probably spot on. 4.9 yards per carry. It's a good season. It's not outlandish, but yeah. I think that he'll probably have close to 175. And if he is really a hot hand, you'll see a lot more of him. The guy I was talking to said that he's never been a primary back before, and I found that funny. My man Jay, and I was like, that means he's got all the tread left on these tires, man. These tires have almost no tread off of them. He's got all the tread still left on these tires. James Cook is fresh legs. When Devin Singletary came out of college, he had so many carries. Like, it was ridiculous how many carries he had coming out of college. And James Cook was like, I'm a second round pick, and I was second most in carries and good yards per carry. Like, he's got all the tread left on those tires. Like, I don't see why people think that he's incapable of being the primary back or of putting up solid numbers. He's fresh. He is fresh. They just ripped open the package. He is ready to get on that grill and start cooking. James Cook. If that's the case, then he might have more than 4.9. I'm saying 4.9 is a good number. I think it's pretty spot on, but could be a little higher. Could be a little lower. I could be wrong. I'm going to argue the little tiny details there, and you just never know. If he breaks 1 or 2 longer runs, extra longer runs, we're talking 175-yard rush away from making that 950 yards. That's one play can change all that. That's my point. Not to be a homer, because I might be being a homer a little bit right now. I could be. So there's also that. Also, I drafted him on my fantasy team in the Built-in Buffalo Fantasy League. So, yeah, that's a thing. But to the defense, defensive tackle, I think the Bills handled defensive tackle this offseason as well as they could. You re-signed Ed Oliver. You minimize his cap hit this year. Next year, he starts his new contract. He's got 2 years that are guaranteed on that contract. After that, they can get him out of there. Excuse me, I'm having a bit of an issue here. There we go. But yeah, the defense, I'd see the defensive tackle spot being much more improved. Here we go. Thanks for the repeat show, Izzy. Go Bills. Thank you for the super chat, Sophia. And aloha. If you're going, if you're staying, then please stay. The defensive line was handled the best way, in my opinion, it could. Right? You re-signed Ed Oliver, have an out after 2 years of his new deal. If he shows out like he's supposed to, they'll keep him for the remainder of the deal or extend him beyond that to fix the cap number and get him right. You bring in Puna Ford to give you another one technique behind Daquan Jones, so that's not a problem. You then have Tim Settle, who's in a contract year now, who played like a man possessed this preseason. It's a preseason, I understand, but he was doing it against starters and backups. And you have Jordan Phillips waiting in the wings, as a situational pass rusher from the interior, which is all he should ever do. All Jordan Phillips should ever do is be a situational pass rusher from the interior. Now, defensive end, Von Miller is on the return. You don't know if he's coming back week 1 or if he's coming back week 6 or if he's coming back, whatever. Apparently it's going to be week 6, most likely, because then we'll be back from London. You bring in Leonard Floyd, who's put up 9.5 sacks each of the last 3 or 4 years with the Rams. AJ Epinesa coming off a 6.5 sack year. Shaq Lawson had 4 sacks last year. And Greg Rousseau, who missed 3-4 games last year, put up 9 sacks. To me, last year was Greg Rousseau's breakout season. This year should be even better than that. So the defensive line was handled beautifully. Linebacker, not so much. We lost Tremaine Edmonds. They could have gone after Levante David. They could have gone after Bobby Wagner. They had so many guys they could have gone after this offseason that they didn't go after. And there's still a couple of guys out there now. We just picked up Christian Kirksey. But Rashaan Evans is still out there. There are guys out there right now who could fill this spot for us. I hope Christian Kirksey or Terrell Bernard are the answer. But they did not improve there. All right, Matt Milano is still Matt Milano. But we're going to have to see what this middle linebacker spot and what they do about it. If they just blitz them, fine. But if they go out and stink the joint up, watch for a trade. I personally think that Christian Kirksey is a good fit in this defensive scheme. By the time Monday comes around, he will have had 2 weeks? About 2 weeks? Yeah, because today's Monday. We signed him this past week. At least 10 days to learn the schematics of the defense. He's familiar with the linebackers, or not linebackers coach, secondary coach. There's a lot that can be learned. A lot to be learned here and in a quick period of time for him, since it's really just translating whatever he knew before to what he knows now, or he's going to have to know now. They could wait till week 2. The Jets are probably going to run the ball a lot because Breece Hall is coming back, and Aaron Rodgers behind that weak line. They don't want to get their star quarterback killed, so they let that line gel a little bit more. We'll see. We'll see what happens. By the way, good to see Dave and A-Rich back at it this month. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They should be at it, for the foreseeable future. Love those guys. I think the coaches are more comfy in our linebacker positions than the general fan is. Don't know if that is good or bad. No, I'm with you there. They might be. They are familiar with these guys. They brought them in. But they also did just bring in Christian Kirksey. So we'll see. Kirksey knows players and coaches. I agree. He does. Poyer and Hyde. Poyer and Hyde are definitely going to be there to help whoever the middle linebacker is. So, yeah, I'm not going to argue against that either. Poyer and Hyde, very good at helping the players beneath them, and they're great at their jobs, especially when they're together. So, cannot wait to see on Monday how this goes. You know what? Because week 1 is oftentimes a liar. For a lot of teams, it's a liar. Sometimes a good team will go down to a bad team, and then they're like, whoa, the freaking Texans went out there and spanked them. And next thing you know, the Texans go 1-17 or 1-16. And you're like, yeah, well, that lasted long. So week 1 is one of those weird weeks. I wouldn't panic after week 1, but I'd be upset if we lost because it's an important game. It's the Jets, division rival. So To me, that's an important game. It's going to kick my stand. Yeah. So linebackers is a cause for concern for the fans, and then for the team, maybe it's not, but I think it is because they just signed someone. So I'll take that for what it is. Now, moving on to the secondary. We all know Trey White is CB1. It is what it is. Coming off that ACL last year, he got better progressively as it went on, and he got more comfortable on the knee. And Trey White coming now is going to be a year removed, additionally from that surgery. He looked excellent preseason. He looked excellent in camp. He looked excellent in the red and blue scrimmage. Number 2 corner is what most people are concerned about. I'm less concerned than most people. All right, we have 4 corners that can start. Trey White could start. Dane Jackson could start. Christian Benford could start. And Kaiir Elam could start. Now, where everybody's concerned about Kaiir Elam this and, Dane Jackson that, Dane Jackson won the job. There's no arguing that. Let me go ahead and see some comments here. All 22 show consistency with Poyer and high bait switch. Okay, yep. Yeah, agree with that. Thank goodness for Kirksey. I hope Bernard stays healthy and proves to be a dependable missile. But thank goodness for Kirksey as a reliable backup or even starter. Yeah, I'm with you there. I just wanted to go back because you were talking about them. So, back to corner. CB1's Trey White. CB2 is Dane Jackson now, right? You got 2 other guys in there, in Kaiir Elam and Christian Benford, who we've both seen start and both play well. So if Trey White goes down, someone like Kaiir Elam or Christian Benford is going in, I'm comfortable. If Dane Jackson goes down, Kaiir Elam or Benford goes in there, I'm comfortable. I'm fine. Granted, I'm a little frustrated, as most Bills fans are. We should all be a little frustrated that our number 1 draft pick from last year isn't taking that job. However, he is a press cover corner in college who's coming to a mostly zone scheme where you have to cover a specific amount of space. So zone means you cover a zone. And he's used to being on someone's hip pocket. He's used to, pressing, hands, hip pocket, let's go. And it's a thing. Like Kaiir Elam, he's a risky player. He's very handsy. He likes to get his hands on the player. Sometimes he does it for too long. Sometimes too far downfield, gets a penalty. But he's showing improvement, right? He's still getting used to this zone scheme. He's still putting in the work. He's still studying. And best of all, he's still for the community. Like he did that school supply drive built in Buffalo a few months back, or last month, with Stevie Johnson and with our guy Lance here at Built in Buffalo. So school supply drive went great. And we here at Built in Buffalo are happy to help the community. But Elam is a guy who clearly to me shows he's willing to put the work in and take the time needed to get it done. I think that Elam will be there in our when we need him the most. I think next year is going to be Elam time. I think next year is going to be when he really starts to shine, when he really clicks. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Again, that's what McDermott always says. Year 3 is when they click. We'll see. I'm hoping and praying he does. But if not, the Bills, they still do what they do, and they drafted Benford in the 7th round or the 6th round. And after watching some film studies of him, I watched Cover One's film study. There's some other ones I caught online. They're less well known. Benford, schematically speaking, is a perfect fit for this defense. I mean, he's a perfect fit for this defense. I could see, after Trey White's contract is up, I could see the Bills moving forward with Kaiir Elam and Christian Benford as their future at corner. If Kaiir, which I believe he will, if Kaiir is capable of really grasping the defense, because he's not gonna demand a high, dollar salary unless he really turns it up that last year. You'll re-sign him for a decent number for a corner, and you re-sign Bedford for something similar, and then you got your corner tank. I like that. Yep, we have 4 really high-quality CBs. What a luxury. It is a luxury. It really is. And you don't let any of them go. In my opinion, you don't trade any of them. You don't let any of them go, right? Because Benford, I believe, can play in the slot as well, but they also have Cam Lewis and Taron Johnson who are going to be in the slot. So Taron Johnson is your bona fide slot guy. He's a top 5 slot corner in the NFL. Then you have Cam Lewis, who's played decent in the slot. He also plays safety, and he can play on the outside too if you need him to. Like if you lose a couple of guys and get hurt, you can rely on Cam Lewis to play decent snaps at outside corner, but mostly in the slot and at safety. Granted, don't want to see him play too much safety, but this preseason, he's kind of proved me wrong. So keep doing it, baby. Elam is still raw wild card, but he will be used this year. I think he will. Yeah, he's going to see the field. They have to. I hope we do not sit back over and cover 2 defense all season. We're not going to do that. Leslie Frazier's gone. We're not running the Tampa 2 like we did with him. It's going to be more of that Panther-style defense from the Super Bowl year. You'll see more of that this year than anything else. Now, safety. Mwah. Mwah. I love it. I love what they did at safety. Re-signed Jordan Poyer because he couldn't find the money he wanted elsewhere. Micah Hyde's back. Brought in Taylor Rapp just in case you have an injury, and he's a starting caliber safety, but he's also, as John Roberts says here in the comments, can play a lot of positions. He's going to be a jack of all trades, Swiss Army knife type Micah Hyde guy from Green Bay. He's going to be that for the Bills, playing in the slot, playing linebacker, playing corner, playing safety. He's going to be all over the place. He's going to follow around tight ends. He's going to be a guy who really does some damage in ways that are unforeseeable for us and other teams. McDermott defensively is an innovator, and he's aggressive. Watch out for the use of Taylor Rapp. Watch out for the use of Taylor Rapp. And DeMar Hamlin made this team on merit, right? There was a lot of people saying that DeMar Hamlin can't get cut. And you might have been right. Right? It would be a terrible look to cut DeMar Hamlin. It would be horrible PR. The team that then signed him would be the darling of the NFL after that happened. But DeMar Hamlin went out there and balled out in the preseason. You couldn't cut him even if you wanted to cut him. You couldn't cut him if anything, just because of how good he was this preseason. He went out there, he tackled well. He played good coverage. He stayed on receivers' hips. He played well against tight ends. He covered running backs up the backfield. DeMar Hamlin this preseason was outstanding. Is he starting over Poyer or Hyde? No. Is he doing what Rapp is going to do? No. But if one of your top 2 safeties goes down, you can replace them with DeMar Hamlin and then keep Rapp in that Swiss Army role that you intend to keep keeping him in. So, guys, the defense at safety is solid, baby. I love it. Then we also have Saran Neal. We have Saran Neal. So instead of keeping 7 corners and 4 safeties, or keeping 5 safeties and 6 corners, they kept 6 corners, right? And 4 safeties. Meanwhile, one of the safeties can play corner, and one of the corners can play safety. Love it. That position flex is coming in handy when it comes to roster building right there. They could have kept 11 guys that are DBs, but instead, because of Saran Neal's ability to play corner and safety, right? Because of, actually, how many is it? I think they would keep 11. Elam, Johnson, Trey, Benford, Trey, Elam, Jackson, Benford, Taron Johnson, Saran Neal. Oh, wow, they did keep 11 DBs. Whew. They did keep 11 DBs. But 3 of those guys, Saran Neal, Taylor Rapp, and Cam Lewis, can play both safety and corner. And 2 of them, because we've seen Saran Neal play linebacker. Remember that Texans game in the playoffs where him and Matt Milano both sandwiched Deshaun Watson, which really, and if you go watch back and watch that play, that is what kind of kept him standing, because he got sandwich between two guys about the same size. Yeah, I like what they did at the back half of the defense. So we're gonna see how this goes. We're gonna see how this goes. Kicking situation, we brought back Reed Ferguson. He waited in the parking lot. We re-signed him. The punter, Sam Martin, one of the better punters we've had since Brian Mormon. I know that, with all the Matt Rise and stuff that happened last year, and then all the stuff that's transpired since then, and finding out that this guy was innocent, a lot of Bills fans are clamoring for him. I don't see him getting signed anytime soon, and that could be someone that they look to in the future. And so, with that being said, I'm rocking with Sam Martin until the wheels fall off, until he decides to retire. I don't want to get into too many of the rising things because that brings back that ugly story. But apparently, he was innocent. Tape shows he wasn't there. So, good for him. I hate to see someone go through what that young lady would have gone through if it was true. But I also hate to see people being falsely accused. So, we'll be there. I'm a girl dad, so. But I'm also a boy dad, so I was in the middle on that. Because if he was guilty, I hope that they bury him under the prison. But neither here nor there. See, I see us running dime with Rapp, Johnson, Poyer, Hyde, all four safeties on the field. You know what? So you see Hamlin, Poyer, Rapp, and Hyde. Hyde, Poyer, Rapp, and Hamlin. Those are the four safeties. Johnson's a nickel back, so he wouldn't count in that. It'll be the top three safeties, and then Taron Johnson, who's a slot corner. He is a corner, though. I mean, you can run four safeties, but then you're not in dime, you're in prevent. So that you're right, that's not really possible it's possible to run that ideologically, but it's not possible for it to be called a dime. Yeah, that's just prevent. You run four safeties, you run all DBs behind the defensive line, and there you go, you're in prevent. Maybe one linebacker and then the rest of the DBs. I've seen it before. I've seen, 7 DBs, a linebacker, and 3 down linemen. But yeah, not likely. Anyways. But yeah, so Sam Martin, excellent punter. Tyler Bass, really coming along as a kicker. And then you have freaking Reed Ferguson, long snapper. Kick returner, we already know is going to be Hardy, maybe Shakir out there. It really depends on who they want to highlight more on offense than on special teams. There's a lot going on. But this right here, to me, is the best roster. Damn it, Jacob. This is the best roster we've had since 2020, right? Where we did all those magical things. And so long as the team puts in the work and so long as they stay healthy, and so long as Dorsey can really change up his calls, I see this team doing magical things, potentially winning the Super Bowl. There's a lot that goes into winning a Super Bowl. If they don't win the Super Bowl, I will be disappointed, but I also understand that it takes a lot. It's not an easy feat. Number one seeds all the time don't win the Super Bowl, right? It's because it's not easy. It's just not. And so, to me, the Bills have a chance every year with Josh Allen, but this year is really a big year. It's really a big, big, big year. It's a make or break kind of. We went out there and got everything we could for you, and you just got to make it work. And the coaches have to make it work. They have to scheme it up right. I think they will. I liked a lot of what I saw. They showed a little bit of their hand in the preseason. Showed some of Kincaid. I think he's going to have a bigger year than most people think. I think, dude, Kincaid might surprise some of you guys, man. I'm telling you. I'm hoping. But, guys, this has been my show. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you guys. The team this year, this is my preview. I say it goes 13-4. Someone said earlier the floor was 12-5. And the ceiling was 15-2. I'm saying 13-4. Guys, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your Labor Day. I love all of you guys. Thank you so much. Let's go, Buffalo.